It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, here we go. Cofield and Company, Palms, new digs, new looking conference. Still the same conference in the Mountain West Conference. It's Cofield. It's Jeff Parles as we are at Mountain West Conference Media Day for football day 1. Day 2 tomorrow with the coaches. Day 1 with the players. So we'll talk to some of the UNLV players. Some of them got honored today with the Mountain West Conference preseason all-conference honors. Remember, no poll. No poll. So we have no idea where anyone's going to finish. There is no favorite. There's no school that's picked to finish last, Jeff.
It's good for people like you and me, Cofield, because the only preseason poll I've ever had a vote in was when the Big 12 was here a few years ago. Arizona State, I picked finish last. Arizona State won the conference. So, good.
Well, the Big 12 was the first one to say enough with this.
Yeah, that was after last year, after that.
Well, because the Big 12 is a lot more at stake because the system is flawed from this regard. When you put out a preseason poll by the conference, and that leads to rankings, and then all of a sudden, like last year, BYU could start out ranked 99th because they got picked in the lower half of the conference. And to your point, Arizona State really never gained enough ground. I mean, they made it in the end, but they were picked last or second to last, and they wound up doing really well, making the CFP. But and frankly, it's harder now to do any of this in the preseason. I mean, we're going to go over the preseason honors for UNLV. Some of UNLV's best players might be guys that people have no idea about because they're transfers in, or they're transfers from the SEC or the Big 12, or they're moving up from FCS. So all conference honors, if you're looking at 4 teams deep, they probably missed on 3 or 4 guys who are going to be excellent players for UNLV. And UNLV gets covered. There are schools in this conference, when I'm looking around, I'm like, there's not a lot of people here from Northern Illinois covering, the Huskies. There are schools that just don't get a lot of coverage. So those players are not going to get a lot of accolades in the preseason.
Well, I was going to say, you have North Dakota State coming up from FCS. Now, granted, they were the best FCS program there was the last 20 years. But, again, this is I'm good with it. We'll see. We, of course, have our own thoughts, and I know we'll get into it throughout the show. But this feels like a 3-horse race to me of who will be, again, 3-horse race for 2 spots in the Mountain West title game. And whoever wins that, I think, is going to have a real chance of getting that non-power conference automatic bid this go-around. Again, I don't think Pac-12, the new version of the Pac-12 is going to be particularly good. Also is the
Is that right?
Also, is the new Pac-12 not even doing a media day?
They're not doing a media day.
That's lame.
Yeah.
Very lame.
Deputy commissioner said something about the cost, and then Teresa Gould came out within 4 days and said it had nothing to do with the cost. So they can't even get their messaging right on why they're not having a media day. I think they botched it. Now, these things are different than they used to be. This one clearly has different outlets here. It also doesn't have traditional outlets all over the place because some of the most dedicated people who cover the Mountain West Conference, the Pac-12, and even the big conferences are online. And there's nothing wrong with that. And they have massive audience because in a lot of ways college football is gigantic in this country, but very much in local markets and in certain conferences, Jeff. It's a niche sport. So, I see these guys are, different outlets are talking to all the coaches, all the players. I got here early in the morning. I didn't talk to all the players because I can't use all the players on the show. So they're providing really good coverage. But, media days are a little different than they used to be. There's also a different vibe here.
Yeah.
Because Boise State was the big deal in the conference. Well, they're not here. Their snootiness is not here. Their media is not here. They've been replaced by North Dakota State, who I think we're going to find out, and I don't want to label them already as snoots, but this is the way it works in the world of athletics. And fans and listeners don't always get access to this. When you're around conferences, and this can go down to high school, but especially in college, when you're around conferences, there are certain schools, basketball, men's basketball, and football, that just carry themselves a certain way. You went to school the entire time you were at Missouri. They were in the SEC.
I had 1 year in the Big 12, and then the rest was in the
so when
SEC.
you're in the Big 12, as it existed back then, who would walk around with chest puffed out and be like, Missouri? And in the SEC, who would do that?
Well, in basketball, the school that was to the west,
Of course, Kansas,
obviously.
your rival.
No,
But in football back in the day, it was probably Texas and Oklahoma.
Well, when my first year, when it was the Big 12, Oklahoma was number one in the country. That was Landry Jones. Oklahoma, we're going back in the time capsule a little bit on that. And one of the bigger wins for Mizzou that year was they beat Texas 17-5. And it was really good to go be out of the Big 12 by beating Texas. And then when Mizzou first moved to the SEC, it was a little bit different because Georgia was not Georgia yet. It was still Mark Richt at Georgia when Mizzou got into the league. The big deal was when Mizzou destroyed Florida in year 2 in the SEC. It was when they went on the road and beat Aaron Murray in Georgia as well that year. Alabama, obviously, Auburn. But, it'll be very interesting with North Dakota State what the process ends up being, Cofield, because I know the betting markets have North Dakota State coming in and making an immediate impact of being one of the teams to beat in this conference. Now, do I think North Dakota State will have amount of wins to be either over 500 or just bowl eligible? Yeah, I do. I think they're going to be probably between a 5 and 8 win team, realistically speaking. I don't think they're going to come in and win the conference like some people may think. It's a big leap up. And even James Madison, even though James Madison has had pretty good success pretty quickly, they weren't good year one. It took after that, and they, of course, also had, without us knowing it, the best coach in college football coaching their program.
So, in the end, the point I was getting to there is every conference has their king or kings that have an attitude.
It's up for grabs now.
And you feel it, and that's the thing. Here in the Mountain West Conference, who is it? I don't think they're ready to do it. I also don't think the culture is there after just 3 or 4 years of winning. Should UNLV be the school that's walking around and kind of looking down their nose at whoever they want to? Because that's what happens. I'll give you. You mentioned the basketball side of things. Even getting exposed. I grew up a long time ago, and there were certain schools in the conferences that I covered, and that were the powers. But even being here for the Sweet 16. When you're around, that Sweet 16 was what? UConn, Gonzaga, and UCLA were involved.
Yeah.
I think I have that right.
Yeah, and Arkansas was the fourth one.
And Arkansas, but, I forgot how snooty and arrogant UConn was, and Gonzaga may outdo them, because Gonzaga was that way in the West Coast Conference, and forget about UCLA for basketball, same thing. So that's a weird thing. There's a void now. Like, should UNLV be that school?
It's it's so complicated.
Quite the leap.
It's so complicated on this football aspect, right? Because that's the one thing that is really good for the good and bad for the league. However you look at it, you don't have your quote unquote mid-major superstar anymore in Boise, but them not being here anymore opens the path for. Look, if Dan Mullen sticks around here in Vegas for multiple years, there is a path for UNLV football to become the force of this conference as long as Mullen hangs around, or whoever replaces Mullen is good. Again, when Barry Odom left for Purdue, it was like, all right, was that just a 2-year blip on the radar? And then they hire Mullen. It's like, oh, they actually upgraded at head coach if you look at it by bringing in Dan Mullen. And look, from everything you've told me and everything everyone else has said, seems like Dan Mullen likes it here in Las Vegas. So let's see if Mullen can hang around. And then look, that gives other opportunities like North Dakota State within 3 years, you have to imagine, will be a very good, high-end, non-power conference team. You have to imagine that if Eck hangs around in New Mexico, that's going to be a team that's winning 7 games every year, and then their good years pushing for 9-10 wins. Let's see if Hawaii can build momentum off of last year's really good year, and now that Alejado is the preseason offensive player of the year. There are programs that could absolutely fill the void of Boise. UNLV is one of them.
Yeah, I think North Dakota State's in a weird position because they're used to being that school, but right now they're not. But I bet you behind the scenes are like we are. Like they think they're walking in and they're going to be the dominant football culture. And I'll admit, again, there are things missing here when Boise's not around. You'll hear a conversation with Jet Thomas, and it's like the first thing he mentioned, at least in that part of the conversation. UNLV running back will be joining us here in less than 10 minutes. It's a feeling out process with the disloyal 5 off to another conference in the Pac-12 and new members of this conference. And in terms of the honors for the preseason awards, UNLV, again, very heavily represented on offense, a couple on defense. And I don't know locally that we give Jet Thomas enough hype because he is getting hyped up. I saw a list yesterday that had him as number 1, 2, or 3 as the top group of 6 running back. And the kind of numbers he's put up and the kind of touchdown making he's done, he deserves all the attention he gets. He is – listen, every football team has a running back. You have to have that position. Many have productive running backs. But he's one of the rare, say, like 15 guys in the country when, say, UNLV is not playing well. Offensively, they're sluggish going into the second quarter. Defensively, they're behind 2 touchdowns because they're playing poorly. He's one of those guys that if you're not paying attention, all of a sudden you hear the crowd start going and you look up and you're like, oh, boy. Like he's either about to do it or he busted one.
He can be the best player in this conference. There's no arguing that. It's just look, it's a matter of staying healthy, right, Cofield? When you're undersized, there's always that little worry of will you get through a whole season healthy? And if Jet gets through this whole season healthy, boy, it doesn't matter that there's a question mark of what Jackson Arnold is exactly going to be at the quarterback position. You are going to have one of the 2 best running backs, if not the best running back in this league, and that always gives you a decided advantage, especially with no dominant defenses in this league, I would say.
Jeff Parles, Cofield, we're hanging out here at the Palms Mountain West Conference Media Day. Number 1, it's Players Day, so we'll talk to a bunch of the players as the show moves along. But up next, let's get some coverage of what happened in the World Cup today. Look forward to the final, also what happened yesterday in the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Our man on the scene. He's everywhere every week. Arash Markazi, Sporting Tribune, will join us, I think, on the train from Philly to New York. We'll find out where he is in about 5 minutes.
Now back to Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, every week we live vicariously through Arash Markazi, Sporting Tribune. I mean, we travel a lot on Cofield and Company, but Arash is the man about the country, man about the world. Arash, where are you right now? Are you actually in New York?
I'm in New York, getting ready for a lot going on here. Not just the World Cup final, which is taking place Sunday. You got Dodgers, Yankees. You got the Fanatics Fest, big event that they've been doing. It's their 3rd year doing it. So just a lot happening here in New York City.
What is the Fanatics Fest?
Fanatics Fest started. So this is like their 3rd year, and I wasn't too sure what to think about it. But it's really like a who's who. I mean, this is the first time we'll hear from LeBron James. He'll be talking at some point. Again, it starts tomorrow. So Thursday, I guess it's 4 days. Anyway, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But, I mean, just from Tom Brady, like LeBron James, just a who's who. The World Cup final press conference will take place there. But, yeah, that'll be taking place here.
All right, busy times for you. You were in Philly the last couple days?
Yeah, the MLB All-Star Game was there. We had the Home Run Derby, the All-Star Game. Not the best game. Again, I know it's an All-Star Game, but the game we had a year ago was pretty good. This one was not as good, but, yeah. And then I quick train ride, as you know, Steve, to New York.
Nice. Jeff and I, and we're big sports fans, include JVT, who's a regular on Cofield and Company. I don't think between us we watched more than 5 minutes the last 2 days. But from what I gather, this was a big event in Philly, right? I mean, the get-in price for the game last night was pretty high. I know the Home Run Derby was well attended. What was the vibe around All-Star Week?
It was really celebratory. You had, the 250th, birthday of the country, and again, they're obviously very proud of their part in that. And so, just really a celebratory atmosphere. A lot of facilities were involved in that, from Bryce Harper to Schwarber, and yeah, it was just again they kind of had a lull there with the Home Run Derby where Schwarber could have won it. I mean, that place was about to explode, and they did not win. And then, like, the game comes around. And I know it's an all-star game, but, when you have a 4-0 final scoreline, it's not the best.
Home run derby. Did we ever find out who the little jackass was in the outfield who couldn't field fly balls? I guess did some kid blow a fly ball and the crowd got all over him?
Listen, that was one of the highlights for me because, listen, it's a kid. He's not a professional. But, of course, Philadelphia fans being Philadelphia fans had to boo the kid for not catching the fly ball.
Do you like Philly or New York more?
I'm more of a New York guy. I like Philadelphia a lot. I just think it's an amazing sports town. I like that all their sporting venues are essentially located in the same spot, so that's kind of a cool vibe there. But just like New York in general, I just love the vibe of New York. As you know, Steve, it's just such an amazing sports town, but just like an amazing city. And again, I've been very adamant about the World Cup final should have been in Los Angeles, SoFi Stadium. But when you come to New York and obviously the close proximity to Europe, listen, if England could have found a way to hold on to that lead, the amount of people from London that would have tried to come out for that game would have been incredible.
Well, Arash, you know what they say. You play your whole life to play in a World Cup final that happens to be in New Jersey, right?
Exactly. It's really the funniest thing. I think so many people from around the world are realizing, and again, as you know, Jeff, it's very close. But yeah, the MetLife Stadium is in New Jersey, folks. It is not in New York.
Arash, where are you exactly right now in New York? Because we can hear the horns in the background. It's the taxi drivers, of course. If you don't, jump on the light immediately, floor it. They're going to beep at you. Where are you?
Yeah, so Times Square, just got into the hotel here that I'm at. I mean, by the way, so much happening here. You got Bon Jovi's having concerts this week at the Madison Square Garden. Ariana Grande is at Barclays. There's some other stuff going. I mean, this is one of the most hectic sports and entertainment weeks that I've seen. From today through Sunday, it is just jam packed.
I wonder how many people come to or came or are going to be in New York this weekend, and they're like, yeah, we'll just get an easy trip over to the Meadowlands, or we'll walk over. I saw a guy about 2 weeks ago who it was a news piece, and they're like, yeah, we're going to walk. And I'm like, you're going to walk? No. You don't realize how far it is. It is impossible to get. It might be 9 miles apart. It is impossible to get there. You ain't walking.
I think that's the problem. Some people look at things on Google Maps and they think, this is 8.9 miles. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's a not to compare it, but when people look at the Las Vegas Strip and in the distance they can see the Strat, I'm like, do not try to walk from the MGM Grand to the Strat. That is not a smart thing.
Well, I was going to say, Arash, there's 9 miles, and not to pick on Iowa, and then there's 9 miles in New York or L.A. or here, and just a little bit different. Speaking of change of sceneries, potentially, what's going on with this Kawhi Leonard saga? Silver said that it's taking too long yesterday. He realized that it has to be done before the season starts so the trade can go through. But this is, Arash, this is going on a year plus now. It's complete nonsense in my book.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that this is coming up on 12 months is crazy. Silver did say in his press conference that this has gone on longer than he would have liked. But according to reports, it's because this has spawned separate investigations. And that's why I think it's pretty clear that there will become something's going to come down. Now, to what extent the Clippers and Kawhi and Ballmer get punished, we'll see. But the reason that this is taking this long is that there will be some heavy punishments. Now, for the Clippers' sake, we'll see how this pans out for them. They made a really good trade with Toronto where they actually got some real value for Kawhi at a time that they both want to move on. And so if Kawhi's contract is voided and he's just able to sign with Toronto, that just absolutely kills the Clippers. So we'll see what happens. Again, if it was up to Silver, obviously this would have already been decided by now. But, they did hire a third party, an independent law firm. And so But to your point, Jeff, I mean, this should not take 12 months. This is taking longer than the John F. Kennedy assassination investigation. This is absurd.
Arash Markazi is with us. He's in New York. He was in Philly. I mean, I will say in the defense of Adam Silver, he does have to babysit the WNBA and Kathy Engelbert, who that news came out today. I don't know if you saw it, but she almost blew the suspension with Alyssa Thomas, which the whole league would have freaking imploded if she hadn't suspended her. World Cup final now. You mentioned England couldn't hold on. Argentina, Spain in the final. Do the prices dump out now? I mean, it's all relative. They're still going to be expensive, but what happens now?
It's a good point. So this is still the most expensive, according to a lot of these ticket brokers, a lot of these ticket outlets like TickPick and StubHub. Cheapest ticket is $7,500. It is the most expensive get-in price. That you get in being just to get you get in the door there. So we'll see if that drops. If it was England, I think it would be close to $10K. But we got Spain. We got Argentina. It's $75K at the moment. Generally what has happened is these things have dropped right up until the day before, and then they pick right back up. But this will likely be the most expensive get-in price for a sporting event in the U.S.
Wow. Arash, part of this long trip that you've been on all over the place for the World Cup also included a break here in Vegas at UFC 329.
Yeah.
How did the UFC crowd compare for that event to maybe the best event you've ever been at?
Listen, whenever Conor McGregor fights, and that's always why I try to make a pit stop, or like this, that wasn't convenient to get to, but like I had a feeling it wasn't going to go Conor's way, not to the extent that it did, and that might be the last time that we see Conor. And there's a different vibe in Vegas when he's fighting, the atmosphere, the fight night, and all that stuff. So it wasn't quite World Cup level. Like that was Conor at his prime. That was Conor, by the way, when he became champ in New York. What a professional night that was. But it was still fun. But you just had a feeling the fight wouldn't go past the first, and then obviously it devolved into what that became. I thought you had a really good rant on social where a lot of casuals come in, and it's like, listen, this guy's old. He did something dumb to start the fight. He got hurt, and what happens.
Yeah.
Again, for his sake, I hope he doesn't fight again. But what happens is, 2 years go by and we forget the way that we felt after the fight, and then that's why we tune into Mike Tyson or McGregor, Pacquiao if they fought again. It's like we almost forget what happened a few years ago or 10 years ago. We're like, these are big names and they're fighting. Let's tune in.
Arash Markazi is with us from Sporting Tribune. You can check out all the great pictures, videos, comments, queries. He's the guy who was there around Freddie Freeman the other day around the All-Star game. And to your point, my rant really, and I probably should have said it more clearly too, is when people react on a fight night and they're like, I'll never do this again, or his legacy is tarnished. No, it's not. Shut up. You're going to forget in 3 days.
Exactly.
New fights, new matchups, get people fired up. Life is busy. People want to see great fights. So that stuff is absurd. Was this one of the better? It felt like UFC was back in terms of the celebrities. Did you see a difference in terms of the level
100%.
of celebrities?
Yeah, I mean, the July International Fight Week always brings out the celebrities. You've got the NBA Summer League, so you always got sort of like the who's who from the league there. It's the summer, it's the off season, so it's always a really good crowd. And obviously, Dana always makes sure, generally to put on someone that people have heard of, the casuals have heard of. So it was probably from a celebrity standpoint, probably the better. After the win, and Max Holloway's there, and it's Mike Tyson and Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson and Mike. So it's just those are the nights that make it fun. And again, you just wish you had a somewhat competitive fight, but listen, it's not Max's fault. I thought Max was going to win regardless. I thought it was going to be like in the first round, to be honest with you, but it didn't happen the way that he would have liked. But he was going to win regardless.
I thought of applying for a new job on Sunday morning because I'm really good at IDing celebrities out in the wild. My God, whoever made the mistake, I feel so bad for him. The Jalen Williams mistake of Shakur Stevenson being mis-ID'd when you just signed him for millions of dollars into a multi-fight deal. Dana White went off.
it was the funniest thing because that was the most heated Dana got post fight, and you could tell that he went off on whoever that was. Like clearly there's someone in charge of that, and it's like it's unfortunate because it's probably someone who is not into sports as much as they are into like Hollywood or music. But like they've done that before, like Terrence Crawford and Kendrick Lamar or something. So it was so funny because he's like, we are the worst at this, and so. And I'm not to brag, I'm pretty good at it. So like, not that I need a side gig, but I'm definitely available to do it. Steve, you could do it. I'm sure Jeff could do it as well. So yeah. I'm
surprised they didn't put Angel Reese up on the board when there was a blonde lady holding the ring card for Sophie Cunningham as Angel Reese.
Good. That's a funny relationship where obviously she is a ring girl. And then Dana, who I don't know if he's ever been to like a WNBA game, is courtside wearing a Sophie Cunningham jersey. The question was brought up like how she became a ring girl, but bad job on my part of wait, how did that connection even happen? But that was kind of cool.
Last one, Arash, because we don't want you to get hit by a cab going out of control in Times Square. I know it's busy there. You've gone to all these great cities on the West Coast. You were just in Philly and in New York. Is the best food you got the last 2 weeks some tikka masala in Vancouver?
So tikka masala in Vancouver was extremely good. I had not gone to Vancouver for a BC place. A part of it was not only to go to the World Cup game, but there's a lot of talk that the Vancouver Whitecaps could be looking to Vegas. But anyway, the tikka masala was amazing. It was one of the better ones I've had. And again, I did not expect to get that at a stadium. Again, to your point, I've gone to a lot of great metropolitan cities, a lot of great cities with a lot of food. Vancouver, kudos to them. Tikka masala, chicken tikka masala in Vancouver, very good. Very well.
Delicious. It looked delicious. Well, enjoy yourself on the trip. We always appreciate you carving out some time for us, Arash, and we'll talk to you when you get back.
Thanks, Steve. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Arash is like, I'm never coming back. It's just not going to happen. How about that trip? That's a good trip. Northeast Corridor. Philly from the All-Star game. I forgot about the All-Star game that he could go to that, and I was looking at Sporting Tribune, at Sporting Trib up on Twitter. I'm like, oh, okay, he was there for that. And then talked to him earlier today. He's like, I'm on the train.
The good old Northeast Regional.
Not a bad trip.
Not bad.
I will take the train this weekend. I may rue the day that I'm doing so. I'm going to be extremely cheap. I'm flying into northern New Jersey, or as other people around the world know it, New York, and taking the train from the airport down to the Jersey Shore.
Good luck.
I have a feeling I'm making a bad move, and I should be paying $120 for some sort of shuttle or limo type thing. It won't be a limo.
Well, what time of day are you getting in?
Like midday, 3 o'clock.
On
a Saturday.
You know what? You should be okay.
I haven't been on the train in a long time.
You should be okay at that time. You're not dealing with shore traffic at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Train
on Saturday at least.
Well, with train traffic through lovely Elizabeth and Linden. Perth Amboy.
There we go.
It was a ride. It's a very inside joke for people from New Jersey. You're like,
very good.
That is great. When you look out to your right and you're like, oh, that's a
smokestack.
There's the Essex County courthouse and prison.
Wow.
Coming up, we're going to talk to Jet Thomas, a running back for UNLV. He's got all Mountain West Conference preseason honors. He's being called the best running back in Group of 6.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
Jeff Parles across the way. We're here hanging out at the Palms for day one of the Mountain West Conference Football Media Days. Yep. New schools in, North Dakota State, and NIU is in as well. Schools are out. Bye-bye. Disloyal 5, gone. Are they missed? A tiny bit. But a lot of them are pukes. Kind of glad they're gone. Don't make me go on that rant. I spent the last year kind of saying goodbye to them. And now that I'm here today, I was like, good. I'm glad they're gone.
We don't need you to tick off the state of Utah again. You do that. You do that more than enough to begin with. So.
I did do that. It's funny. I was talking to one of the guys who's big online, covering all the machinations of the inner workings and contracts and fights and this and that. And I was like, my God, of the Pac-12 schools that are now together, whether there are 9 of them or 8 of them, the 8 for football and 9 with Gonzaga, the new level puke fans are Oregon State. They are insufferable. And speaking of Oregon State alums, Justin Watkins will be here a little later on.
Wow, how did that happen?
How did he go to Oregon State?
No, not Justin. What you just said on the Oregon State.
I don't know what the problem is with
bizarre.
it. That's
bizarre.
I think they had built up an inferiority complex over the years in the Pac-12. Then they got punched in the face when they got left behind, and now they've built this like superiority complex because they're like, oh, we're the Pac-12, and now we're bringing in the little guys. Like, no, you stink. Like your foray around the Mountain West a couple of years ago, they don't suck at football. They're also no better than a 500 football program. Washington State's been about the same for 25 years.
Yeah.
So you were basically a Group of 5 school to begin with. You were Mountain West level in the first place. But man, they are stuck on that.
That's
they are somehow better, and they're not all of them, but many are just insufferable.
The loud online ones are though.
Oh, it's if they call UNLV a poverty school one more freaking time, I'm like, who are you people? See, I wasn't going to do this, and now they're not even. They've never been in the conference. I feel bad because now Justin Watkins is driving down here, and I really want to go on a rant about Corvallis, but I won't do it. We went to some beaver bar, not that kind, like a bar in Corvallis that was actually pretty decent. Lotus Summer Fun is going down right now. Let's give out the keyword of the day. We're going to repeat what I said yesterday. Cabin, C-A-B-I-N. Cabin is the keyword of the day. It's a Mississippi River trip cruise that we're giving away. America 250 and Terribles and Baylaw injury attorneys and ESPN Las Vegas are giving away trips throughout the summer. Your chance to qualify is simply text in cabin, the word of the day, 702-364-1100, 702-364-1100. Best of all, you can take the trip or just take the cash. There's a cash out on it, but the word is cabin that you want to send in today. There's so much going on. This, if this was 12 years ago, Mountain West Conference Media Day would have taken up the whole show, but we've got all this stuff happening. Adam Silver, Summer League press conference, a bunch of stuff came out of that, and I'm not going to keep doing this. I'll let everyone else on the show do it, but the news about the arena in Portland and Tom Dundon, the owner, kind of tying it all together, Jeff. What did Silver say?
The phrase that was used that stood out to me is that the negotiations with Portland have gone, quote, off track. And we talked about this last week. You've been all over Tom Dundon for over a month now.
I told you 6 weeks ago, his goal is to move, and his goal could be moving to Seattle, which will jack up the whole thing and could delay us getting a team for a year.
Well, could you imagine if that was the case? Again, I've always assumed that if he were to move, he's going to move him to Nashville.
Jeff, he can do it. Here's the thing. In these leagues, he can do whatever he wants because while the threat could be there, like, the other owners aren't going to agree. Stan Kroenke did what he wanted. So if that's a billionaire PE guy. If he wants to legal up, like even Adam Silver and the other owners, what are they going to do? They can't stop him.
Look, if Dundon wants to leave, and it sure seems like he does, he's going to eventually leave. And the one thing and I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about this the other day, that the league needs to have enough foresight that, all right, Portland, if Portland ponies up the money, they got to find a way to make Dundon stay. And I'm not sure, if Portland will pony up the money, the city, because the state and the county has already ponied up. It's now on the city to pony up. If they do give the money, Silver and company have to find a way to make sure Dundon doesn't attempt to move them anyway. And I'm not so sure, even if Portland gives the money, Dundon will be like, you know what, that's not enough. I need an extra $200 million. And all of a sudden it turns into a complete mess for the league.
Listen, John Fisher went round and round with the Bay Area, and in the end, he found a better deal. And if Dundon feels like he has a better deal somewhere else and Portland's not going to work out, he's going to do whatever the hell he wants. Giveaway time, 364-1100, Aviators tickets, 4-pack of tickets to see El Paso in town against our Aviators at LV Ballpark. It's coming up on the 23rd. Ticketmaster is where you can get your tickets if you don't win these. Aviators in El Paso on the 23rd. 4-pack going out. Caller 7-364-1100.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
Earlier today, had a chance to catch up with UNLV running back Jet Thomas, and we got into the setting here at the Mountain West Conference Media Day. It's a new-look conference.
Yeah, it's sad not seeing Boise here. That's one of the top teams that's been on my mind. But it's exciting seeing North Dakota State here, NIU, just the new additions to the Mountain West.
So it's interesting you said it's sad. Why is it sad to not see, Boise or San Diego State?
Because it's kind of like that bitter love-hate relationship between both schools. We came short a couple times to Boise State, so that's a fuel to my fire these last couple of years. But, they're in the Pac-12 now, so I'll still wish them well. I wish them to have a great season.
Do you wish them well? I guess if you wish them well, you could play them at the end of the year in some
Right.
sort of bowl situation. Or
Yeah, so
who knows,
we'll
maybe
see them.
both conferences can make the CFP.
Hopefully.
Jet Thomas is with us. Let's talk about your journey. So, and we've talked many times about, coming out of high school and the kind of offers you had. So think about the beginning of your career and the offers you had and kind of where you are now. Take people back who don't know Jet Thomas real well and where you were coming out of high school and the offers you had.
Coming out of high school, I really didn't know where I would be at in this moment. Only thing I can do is thank God for giving me this blessing and opportunity to be here. My journey started off very, very slow. I didn't have any offers, any D1 offers. Coach Marion, he called me one day in late January, speaking to me. He was really the first coach to give me the opportunity. So when I first came to Vegas, it's exciting. You never seen out of Vegas. I'm from Atlanta, the East Coast, coming all the way to the West Coast. It was very exciting. Seeing the Strip, seeing Fremont, seeing the bright lights. It was just very exciting. So that's what really brought me here. And then just meeting the people in Vegas, it's a loving community, which is another reason why I stay here. So it's been a tough journey for me, and I love the grind. I love the grit. And I love the opportunities I've been given.
How come it's been tough?
Just the uncertainty part, growing up, not having nothing, not knowing where you're gonna go, not knowing what you would do. That would be the hard part. So that I would say during that time it was very rough for me. I really didn't know where I would be at.
So we talk about your journey. What did you know about the program coming in? Because it wasn't, a very winning program. It was usually between, 3 and 5 wins, and now you guys have won 30 games in 3 years. What do you know about the program? And is it in your mind? Like, I always wonder when recruits go to a school that's not doing that well. Like, what are your hopes in terms of winning? Like, how do they sell you?
Really, my first mind, when I first came, I really didn't know too much. I just knew about the basketball team. I seen a video of like the football locker room on YouTube, which was exciting. But I really didn't have no thought of the school. I was just really excited to be here. Like I didn't have back again. I didn't have nothing. So just being here brought me excitement and joy.
And then when you got here, when did you first realize, like, hey, I might be in the mix? Because, you would hear from Barry Odom, like, hey, the best guys are going to play. A lot of programs, I think freshmen almost have no shot to play. So when did you realize how early that, like, hey, I might be in the mix?
I want to say start of fall camp. We have our little scrimmages. We have our little team practice. It was my first drive, and I really got the ball. I took it almost for a full touchdown. Yeah. He kept putting me in rotation with the ones. I started off with 2s and 3s, and the freshman group. So after the second scrimmage, when I was playing the ones, I have a great opportunity. I have a chance to really start or really play.
Jet Thomas with us, a star running back for UNLV, all-conference running back. I saw a list yesterday, top 3 ranked group of 6 running back in the country. So you come in as a freshman, and I remember hearing about the scrimmages, like, oh, he's busting off some runs. Like, we couldn't see him as media, and we heard you were busting off some runs. If you were to give advice for some of the younger guys now, like Williams has been here a year, Lindsey's new to the program, what do you tell them as a freshman in terms of – because I'm sure there's days where they're rolling on the 3s and they're like, I don't know, we're going to play, and you get down to the dumps.
Really, when Lindsey first came here, I just tell him, be yourself. It's football at the end of the day. Football is not going to change. Maybe the speed of the game is going to change, but how you run and how you tackle won't change. Just continue growing, continue learning, and just continue being true to yourself.
Are you up on social media?
Yes, I've been on social media here and there.
Yeah.
I try not to get mingled into the football stuff a little bit.
Did you see some of the chatter last year as you guys were having a good year? There was one main complaint around Jet Thomas, and it wasn't with you. You know what it was?
I know. Was it the carries?
Yeah, it was workload. Yeah. So how do you answer the fans on workload? I don't know if you want more carries or how they explain it how the coaches explain it to you. How do you explain it to the fans?
Really, it's all decided on the coaching, I can say. But only thing I can say for me, I've been grateful for the amount of carries because I could have 0 carries. Even 1 carry would be good for me. But I'm just excited just to have the ball, showcasing my abilities to play football.
Well, their argument is that, later in the game, you're fresher. Do you feel it?
Really, That's a tough question because I feel like I'm always fresh for the game, you know. But necessarily, yes, I could say I'm fairly fresh. I make sure, you know, during the weekends I keep my body, get treatment, hot tubs, cold tubs, all the extra. So I'm always prepared.
Did you check out the video game EA?
Oh yeah, I just recently just played it just before I came over.
You know what your rating was?
My rating was a 89.
Okay.
Last year was a. But
wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait, you went backwards?
I guess so. We're gonna have to turn it up this year.
They actually do regrade, I think, during the season.
Oh, they do. Okay, so
yeah.
Perfect. So once they see how
yeah, I like it. You look right at the camera, like get it together.
Yeah,
going forward. All right, let's talk about expectations because this is a different looking conference, and you guys have a veteran group back. So, what are expectations individually for you, and then in terms of winning?
And down, the team expectation is to win. That's the number one goal. That's no one standard in the building. It's just to win. We built a foundation for the past 3 years of winning, so there's nothing more, nothing less.
Is there a different vibe in terms of the leaders now?
I would say yes. Everyone in the locker room leads differently, whether it is vocal, whether it is workload. Everyone in the locker room just has a different mindset.
All right, what'd you do in the offseason? Because every time I see you, I'm like, hey, how much do you weigh now? Because, you're a smaller guy. So what are you up to now?
This offseason, I put in a lot of work, just getting stronger, working on my vision, working on my mental. So right now I'm 195, solid 195.
Whoa, really?
Yes.
When you first got to Vegas, how much were you? Were you in the 170s?
I want to say.
You can give up the information. It's 4 years ago.
I was like 165.
No, really? So how does it feel carrying 195?
I feel good. I still feel like I still feel light. I still feel great. I've been working out with this weight since the end of spring.
Well, the thing was, when you were playing in the 170s or 180s, you still had the ability to break tackles. What do you credit that to? Like, why do you have such good ability to get through tackles as a smaller guy?
I want to say just that's how I've always been. Just growing up, if you were just to watch my high school film, that's just how I've always been. Just having the desire, just not getting tackled.
What's the group of some of the new offensive players like in terms of Jackson Arnold's different than Calandria?
Of course.
Can you explain how they're different in terms of personality?
Really, personality-wise, Calandria is more of that Johnny Manziel kind of like, wild, great guy though. And Jackson Arnold's more calm, mellow attitude. He's soft-spoken. They're all both great guys. All in doubt.
Yeah, and then the crazy thing is Orgy is battling for him, and then Orgy to me is like the uncle. He's just like he comes off as so old.
Yeah, I love Orgy. Orgy's a great guy. He preaches the word to us. We have our little group chat. He just preaches the word to us every day. Making sure that we have God in our life and that God to where we at. But Orgy, I can say he does give off that uncle vibe, uncle soul. But he's a great guy to be around. Like if you just sit down, talk to him, and actually get to know him, you definitely love the guy.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Just heard from Jet Thomas, running back with the Rebels. One of the cool things about covering college football, as you watch guys grow and come into the program, and Jet got here as a true freshman, is you also see their maturation as young adults and their ability to do interviews. And Jet is much more comfortable than he was at the beginning. And he told us there the preseason All-Mountain West Conference running back, not the player of the year, not the offensive player of the year. I just actually talked to, I'll have to give you an update on Micah Alejado, as of course that was all live a couple minutes ago with Jet Thomas. But Jet is up to 195. He said he got here and he was about 165 or 166 pounds. So Justin Watkins is here with us. When was the last time you were 160? What'd you wrestle at in high school? Were you pretty small?
I started at 103 as a freshman, and then finished up at 135, 141 in college.
All right, you're like Manny Pacquiao. Slightly smaller.
Now, if I'm in shape, which I'm not currently, but if I'm in good shape, I can get down to about 170.
Wow,
175 is pretty normal right now. I'm punching at about 185. I'm a little heavy for where I want to be.
Do you want to be cutting weight at this age?
I do. I do.
Well, I mean, no, I meant like wrestling traditional weight cut.
It has provided me with the ability to do it every now and then.
That's
Having gone
point.
through that a bunch of times in my life. I've been on the show a number of different times where I'm on a 3-day fast, and I think like that is possible in large part because I did it before it was like a real thing, and as long as you give me water and some electrolytes, I'm good.
Could you do a weight cut?
No.
I did it one time for a weight loss contest, and I wasn't like I didn't do like MMA weight cut or wrestling weight cut where I think I cut like 8 pounds to weigh in. And
How long did you have?
It was like unofficial. There was no time. It was I don't know. I did it the morning of, or I think in the weight loss contest, I think I started in the low 200s, that's where I'm now, and I lost weight. I'm like, oh, I'm in great shape. I'm not. I think the day of I did like 171 to 163. Like it was a water weight. It was just like 8 pounds of water weight. But I'll tell you what, after I went in the sauna and ran a little bit, I didn't feel good. So
No.
So I don't know how you guys do it.
Well,
I wouldn't recommend it.
The sauna's a mistake. That's why. Like you can't lose it that way. And putting on garbage bags and sweatsuits. That's a really bad way to do it.
What about Epsom salt in a bath?
That's not great either.
What about the colonic?
I mean, the day of you got to do what you got to do. But if you're losing all the weight the day of, you've made several different mistakes along the way to get to that point. I think the most I ever did in a day for a weight cut is probably 8 pounds in one day. Maybe I went north of that, but generally speaking, and I was a weight cutter. I always cut a lot of weight. I wrestled light. I wrestled trim. I would say it was pretty typical for me to weigh in the morning of when I knew I was going to weigh in the afternoon, somewhere between 2 and 4 pounds over.
Justin Watkins with us, talking weight cutting. He's our legal insider and weight cutting insider. No, but you wrestled at a high level in high school, and after that, did you guys get to watch the fights at all? We can talk about McGregor, but Pimblett had a really good fight, great submission. He's one of those guys who fights at 155. I think he walks around. He gets pretty beefy. I think he's over 200 pounds and cuts from over 200.
Yeah, well, I mean, those guys are doing, they've got that dialed in on a whole nother level. What I'm talking about is what my stupid 16 to 20-year-old brain thought was a good idea on how to cut weight, 14 to 20-year-olds. Having grown up wrestling with like Gray Maynard and watching him go into MMA afterwards and getting to know how he cut weight. I mean, he fought at 155 and he'd be walking around 185 to 200.
He was gigantic.
Yeah, dude, it was unreal the amount of weight that they would shrink down. But that's their job, and they have professionals lined up to do it. And so, most of these 55 guys, I think it's rare to find somebody who's not cutting at least 20 pounds from their, sort of non-training camp weight.
So the preseason Mountain West Conference Offensive Player of the Year is no bigger than you and I, and probably lighter. I didn't ask him
I would
his
hope
weight.
so.
Well, what do you say you are?
185.
He's the quarterback. He's like 5'8", 185.
Yeah.
Micah Alejado is amazing for his size. What a great talent. And, in a year where the Mountain West kind of has to reinvent itself with new schools, who's going to step up to be the power schools, they need a player like this. It was a great retention by Hawaii. And what a heroic – I don't use that word often, but last year he got hurt really badly out of the gates and had to miss some time. They were okay, without him. I don't think they would have achieved what they did, but what a tough guy. And he's a Vegas guy in many ways because he prepped at Gorman.
As hearing you guys talk about all this stuff leading in as I was driving in here, it's like and seeing the newsreel from ACC having their media days today is just reinforced to me the Pac-12 made a mistake by not having media days. Hearing stories like this, I mean, when do you get the chance to tell that story outside of just a game between Hawaii, which misses, 90% of the conference because they're not watching it, and they're not watching the lead up, and they may hear about it when their team plays that player. But getting a chance to name, some preseason offensive, defensive players of the year, who they think are going to be the best all-around players at each position, I think it's just a great opportunity to learn about the conference, especially Mountain West and Pac-12, which are completely reconditioned. I mean, the Mountain West is doing a good job here, I think.
By the way, Mountain West Connections set up right near us. Go watch their stuff when they put it out. This dude has there's 50 pages of notes. It's ridiculous. He's like, I did depth charts for every school in the conference. I'm like, what? I'm like, you barely can get the information. It's crazy. So on Mike Alejado, so played at Gorman, picked Hawaii, I think to a certain extent over UNLV. But, it's a great thing for them. He's a, hometown hero type. But I just talked to him. I'll put the video out and get more details out on this. Football is actually not his best sport.
What is baseball?
Nope.
Good luck trying to guess.
Way off the radar.
Because Cofield stunned me with this when he told me during the break.
It is
pickleball.
It is I would say
that's a better guess.
You would associate it with the athleticism of many New Jerseyans, and I would connect it to Wisconsin and like beer drinking. It's an indoor sport.
Cornhole?
And it takes amazing mental acuity and strength.
Darts.
And you also have to be able to drink a lot.
Oh.
Bowling.
Okay.
He said straight out he hesitated for a second, and I knew what the answer was going to be, but I didn't think he would say it was his best sport. He's a better bowler than football player.
What did he say his average is?
I didn't even ask him.
Okay.
Because that's like asking a woman their weight. They don't want to know. But
bowlers don't like to say what their average is?
I'm kidding. He said he's got 20 bowling balls. And then he goes, but I don't bring any more than 7 to the alley. I'm like, 7? Like, what kind of bowling bag or wheeler do you have?
That's awesome. I think that's a cool thing to be good at. I wish I like this next generation has a little bit of a lost art on all those barroom games, billiards and darts and bowling and all the stuff that like I grew up watching my uncles do. As they had a big old draft in their hand and the pitchers flowing. Where I'm like, dude, I want to do that. And so like I could do a little bit of all of that. Ping pong, I could do a little bit of all of that. My kids could do none of any of it.
They're going to miss out.
I know.
Are you good at any?
Maybe in college. Maybe in college.
All right. So I am an awful pool player. Awful. Just truly awful. I don't know why. Just don't have the skill. Now, when I was in college, Columbia Mo had an unbelievable bar, aptly named billiards. So you go, you have your drink in your hand. You have the delicious burger to sop it up in the other hand.
Throw the quarters on the table.
And then you go from there. Exactly.
Yeah.
Darts, not a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Bowling, if I'm in the 170s, I've had a tremendous day.
Yeah.
So we'll just go with
pretty
that.
good.
Yeah.
That's a tremendous day. Usually I'm between 90 and 110 in bowling.
Yeah, that sounds like I'm not a good bowler. I like to do it though. I think it's fun. We take the firm out. It's a fun day. And if I like really start getting something figured out, 150, 160.
Yeah, no. I think I won 200 and I celebrated like I won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So it was just a tremendous day.
But ping pong and pool, I'm good at.
All right,
ping pong's probably my best.
We have to do some ping pong. You'll probably crush me. You know who, and he's not often a contributor on the show, but he's a long-time member of the show, the company, who loves to bowl, and he'll text me every once in a while, like every 6 months. He's like, when are we going bowling? Is the guy you saw a couple weeks ago in studio, Marty Cordova.
Oh,
former AL Rookie of the Year.
Really?
I mean,
Marty, he's so competitive.
Yes, he'll beat me in anything. I'm just convinced that guy's probably good at everything.
Loves bowling. And we went one time, and I think I edged him out by a little bit. He might have taken part in one of our old guy triathlons, and he didn't have a good day, and it stuck with him for he's so competitive that 10 years later he's like, we got to go again.
Well, what's in the old guy triathlon, Cofield?
We mixed it up every year. We did 3 or 4 years of it, but it was more leisure sports. But we did a home run derby, and Marty kind of watched it, but then Marty competed. We all had, I think we did baseballs, and it was smaller parks. It was softball parks. I think we used aluminum bats. Almost no one hit home runs. Marty got up lefty with a wooden bat and was just like, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, well, that sounds
and then we
about
come
right.
back in studio. He reviews the film, and he's like, let me tell you something. Because I had a couple, and Mitch Moss actually did well. So I felt good about it. I was like, I had a good stroke. I had some home runs. He's like, you have no chance. He's like, your bat speed sucks. All right.
Well, I think we should do a CNC bowling night,
bowling night, yeah.
And I think the old guy triathlon. I think combat sports is hard to add to it because everybody gets hurt. But
That's
you could
you and Willie with the now I got to learn jujitsu. Let's do a judo this year.
Nah.
Jujitsu's next.
just do it like a. I think the one I could win at would be just a hanging bar hang.
Yeah, that you guys want to do I'm not doing superstars. Remember that old?
No, just hang from a bar. Just hold on.
Oh,
like
so
time.
not even
No chin ups, no nothing.
No pull up, no chin up,
just hang.
just bar hang.
Yes.
Good. You found
Maybe.
something I'll finish last in. Perfect.
No, the old guy triathlon was a hand-eye competition.
Well, that's
we
where,
didn't
that's
we didn't
garbage,
do.
though.
No, it's not. Those are sports.
Yeah, but so are other sports
No,
that
they're
are not
not.
hand-eye. Combat sports are the original sports.
No, combat
Is not hand-eye. It is not hand-eye.
No, I'm saying I would consider that a sport that's not hand-eye.
Yeah.
But anything that's like straight line running, freaking hurdle or long jump, get out of here. Track and field that's a whole different thing.
Well, I mean,
hand-eye is for real athletes.
What about like throwing a discus or a shot put? That'd be cool. Get us old guys out
That
there
would be
like
incredible.
trying to throw a shot put. See a 3-footer get thrown.
How many waivers do we need on that one?
That'd be great.
I'll
write up the waivers.
Yeah, we need you on the contest.
I'm in.
No
I'm
doubt.
in. I'm in for CCA bowling night. I'd probably be last, but if we made it a regular thing, I could start to get somewhere.
It got intense because we did mini golf, and one of the guys just kept like swinging his club and hitting stuff, and then he lost and he walked home, and he didn't live close.
Yeah.
He just walked out the front door and walked home.
Yeah, I'm not a big mini golf guy. I don't like
Nor
that.
am I, but I'm okay at it.
You don't have to do that now with the simulators. We don't have to do that.
That talk about a thing that actually there's not as much in this town as I would have ever expected when I moved here. Now there's the big one in town square that has the 2 courses in one. But other than that, I'm like on the top of my head, I can only think of 2 or 3 other ones.
Yeah, I know of a handful just because when my kids were little, you go around town. They're indoor, small ones. One's like there's a neon one down the strip.
There's the KISS one as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be that Cofield. I think next summer when there's no World Cup to speak of and we're in the quote unquote dead period that there's nothing to talk about, right, Cofield? We could do this for 2 weeks.
We will try.
But it's hot, man. We need some outdoor sports.
We could go to a local park at 9:00 at night and hit some dingers, right, Cofield?
I mean, I can.
Home run
I'm a
derby was
desert
fun.
rat. I can hang with any of this stuff.
Coming up, it doesn't happen often, and I'm hoping it's going to happen all the time. Someone got gotten after being an absolute disgusting jerk on social media to an athlete. So Chelsea Gray put out a post the other day, and she's like, you guys, I tell you these things happen. We tell you in the WNBA, people say these things to us. Here's what someone said. That person was nabbed almost instantly. I want to find out from our legal expert how that happens, and if this can be something that happens more often where the boorish individuals on social media get caught, or is that a slippery slope? Maybe we don't want that.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Mountain West Conference Media Days here, day number 1. Coach's Day is tomorrow. Today is Players' Day. We'll talk to a couple of the Nevada Wolfpack players. Dylan LaBarbera, a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year, will join us in about 25 minutes. Jeff Parles, Cofield, we're set up at the Palms. Justin Watkins, nice enough to come down here. He's a Wednesday regular as a voice of reason on the show, our legal insider. So I was very happy to see the story, Jeff, with Chelsea Gray. And I had only seen the front end of it where Chelsea Gray you basically told social media, we get nasty stuff sent our way all the time. You guys say it doesn't happen. You don't believe me. Here's an example. And now it's come full circle.
Yeah, the person who sent it got fired from their job at one of the hotels here in town.
In town, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Here in Vegas. One of the big timeshare brands.
We can mention it because they did it.
So it was the Hilton Grand Vacations. An employee was found to be the one who said the vile stuff on vile and racist stuff on social media, and he is no longer employed there.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's actually, to me, a couple surprising things about this story. Number one, that it was actually a human being that sent it, versus like a bot, because I think most of the craziest stuff that we see, the most vile stuff, is actually not even a human being, and then it gets us all stirred up. And so number one, that it was a person. Number two, that the person was able to be traced, because, I mean, obviously they didn't, tweet in their name, which tells me it had to be from a company phone, a company-issued phone, or iPad, or on the company computer. Maybe if it was a personal phone, but on their Wi-Fi, they could have tracked it that way as well. But I would love to hear how somebody even began to look, because Chelsea Gray putting that out, and then it takes somebody at that organization to go, I wonder if it happened here, and to start searching for it.
Internet sleuth potentially,
right? I don't know. Like somebody might have gotten into the whole system to do a search and then notify the employer of what they'd found. So it's a little bit surprising that the identity was found. I've got no problem with the person being fired. Just because you say it on social media does not mean that you're protected from the ramifications. Like let's just say there's somebody outside wearing a mask, standing on the street corner, yelling vile, offensive, hateful stuff at every single person who walked by. And then you found out, or I found out, they work for the company that I'm at. Just because they're wearing a mask and we're doing it anonymously does not change the fact that it was them that was doing it. And as an employer, I don't want somebody that works for me who thinks that that's a kind of good idea to do. So, I applaud the actions of the of Hilton Grand Vacations on getting rid of them. I wouldn't want somebody like that working for me.
Is there, because the flip side of this, we talk about it all the time, is there a slippery slope aspect of this where we get more invasion of privacy? Like, how much access will people have in the future to what we think are private messages and, internet addresses and email?
Yeah, it depends on how this was found. I think you start with the idea that if you're on social media and posting to the public, you should have no expectation of privacy. Start there. And I think legally speaking, that's probably where a court would start as well. Now, if your phone was hacked into or, a device that you owned was broken into illegally, then I think you would find a court that would be sympathetic to the idea that you do have some expectation of privacy behind security measures on your own phone. And if a hacker is breaking laws into getting into that they should be held accountable, and you would have a claim against them for there's actually a claim for it. It's called public disclosure of private facts. So something that was kept private behind some security measures that you became aware of. Doesn't matter if it's truthful or not. It's that disclosure of privacy that is a violation.
Justin Watkins, legal insider, down here at the Palms with us, Mountain West Conference Media Days. We got some college football to get to in a couple of minutes, but another big legal story, potentially. Really weird one. I guess it's not that weird. If you're aware of what goes on in gambling circles, Bryce Harper was asked by FanDuel, who he works with, to send a message to record a message. He didn't know what the message was being used for, where it was going to be sent. What's the latest on this, and is there going to be a lawsuit? Because he's really peeved about the way it was used, because then it came out, basically they used it to coax a big loser on the FanDuel app to continue gambling, like, hey, here's a pick-me-up, and I'm sure Bryce Harper would have been like, yeah, I don't want to be part of that.
I think it is a weird story. What happened is somebody did a Cameo request for him that said, hey, can you wish this person happy Thanksgiving and, send the congratulations or love or whatever and send a script. It was not known to be a FanDuel person. It was not somebody he worked with. It was just a person. And so he records the Cameo. That person allegedly works for FanDuel, took the video, put a FanDuel logo at the bottom of it, and sent it to a FanDuel, one of the big gamblers, as a like, hey, thanks for being so loyal to us and continuing to participate on our platform. We got a special message for you from Bryce Harper. So he had no idea that he was recording this for commercial purposes for FanDuel. He was just doing it for a Cameo. So I don't know. Ultimately, I imagine FanDuel's going to apologize, blah, 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 make things right, because it's really insidious what was done. Now, they probably didn't know that this employee was doing that. It is probably like an employee going a little bit rogue, but you do not want to get into a public spat with a figure like this that puts your company in such a negative light. You are essentially tricking somebody that you have a relationship with into doing promotional material for you without properly paying them for it or telling them how it's going to be used. Super insidious. I think if they don't try to make it right away, I think Bryce Harper's got a ton of claims. The only sort of defense I think FanDuel would have is like, we had no idea what this person was doing. There's no reason to think we knew what was going on. The minute you notified us what was going on, we took corrective action. We can't stop somebody from being stupid and going out. Cameo's a platform we don't control and can't monitor.
Right.
So we would have never have thought that this would have happened.
And I should apologize. That was a poor setup of the story.
That's
so
right.
He wasn't working with FanDuel. Sorry, Bryce.
He was.
Okay.
He didn't tell Bryce Harper that he was.
No, I meant Bryce wasn't working with FanDuel.
Right.
Yeah. Justin Watkins, legal insider, with us. Okay. But it's very interesting. How many times celebrities have to turn to an attorney and they need advisors. Tom Brady's involved in a lot of money-making ventures. He's got a lot of money. He's aggressive. He wants to make money. What is the latest deal here with Tom Brady and some bioceramic powder and a court ruling? What is this? I don't know what this is.
I think this might be crazier than the last story. So, Tom Brady's into a lot of health-forward stuff, and he had been working with a company, MET, about this idea of this bioceramic powder that can be integrated into clothing that helps keep you hydrated and help recovery, so that when you're sleeping at night and you lose a lot of hydration, that you don't lose that hydration at night, and you maintain this level of hydration. And the science isn't crazy about it. The science isn't saying that that's Looney Tunes. The FDA has not come out affirmatively and said that this is actually what it delivers, but there is allegedly some evidence that it does work. And so Tom Brady was working with this MET company, and then Tom connects them to Under Armour, who is also a Tom Brady sort of partner, to work on a line of clothing that would use this technology from MET, brand it Under Armour along with TB12. Well, in the back and forth and exchange of all that information, Under Armour says, we like this kind of technology, we just don't like you, MET, and they go with somebody else. And then allegedly tell Tom, yeah, these other guys are actually better at this bioceramic stuff than the guys you brought. You shouldn't deal with MET. You should deal with the guys that we're dealing with. And Tom follows along with that. So MET sued for a bunch of different reasons, most of which, they're Under Armour just won a major victory. Most of the claims got dismissed, but not all of them. The claims that survived were the claims that Under Armour interfered with the relationship between TB12 and MET, that they had their own thing going. And when Under Armour stepped in and said, hey, here's some information, Tom, to show you that this other company is actually better, you should no longer deal with them, break the contract with them, come with us, come with this other material, that they are entitled to compensation for interference with a contractual relationship. That still gets to move forward. So it's not done yet, but a pretty crazy little story. And now I'm like, I want some bioceramic pajamas. Where are those at?
I love Jeff's look at you like, what? Hydration, sleep?
It sounds like complete nonsense, but look, if there's science backing it a little bit.
No, it doesn't hydrate you. It prevents you from being dehydrated when you sleep.
That still sounds ridiculous to me.
Why?
It just does.
I don't know. I'm in.
Look, if it works, why not?
I don't know.
Especially living out here where it's so
right.
You just dry up overnight.
Yeah,
basically.
You wake up with that cotton mouth, and you're like, your eyes are crusty, your tongue's dry. Like, hey, man, all of a sudden I wake up, fire out of bed, I'm ready to go with my bioceramic
powers. Yeah,
but I don't sleep with pajamas. That's my problem.
Last, I don't want to. Last time, Rockland, Cofield, and Parles. Last 25 seconds here to set up the conversation on the other side. We're getting more and more athletes who are out of eligibility. They hear this 5-5 thing. They're like, now, let's go now, and it's going to court. I saw Jeff Goodman on college basketball said, why don't they just do it, get it going in college basketball, and just clear the decks and just say, hey, start it now. What do you think?
Apparently they want to pay attorneys because they made a new rule. I think largely most people are in favor of the new rule, and they did not implement the new rule for the last year of the 4-year eligibility class, when they could have just easily said, hey, everybody who's in your last year, you got one more year to go.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Show, man. I talk about red meat all the time. The different audiences, they get their red meat. On this show, the freaking beatdown lately with the WNBA and the way the league is managed. This story that came out, Justin Watkins sitting in with us here for a couple more minutes. He's nice enough to come down to the Palms at Mountain West Conference Media Days. Apparently, Kathy Engelbert was not going to give any sort of suspension for Alyssa Thomas for what a lot of people thought was a throat punch. I did not. I thought one game was fine. But from an optic standpoint, if she wanted to give Alyssa Thomas nothing, I don't even understand the reasoning. And according to who, SBJ?
It was SBJ with the report this morning.
They said Adam Silver had to step in and go, come on.
Well, just want to throw one other thing at you. The WNBA came out earlier today to Front Office Sports, and a spokesperson did a full-throated denial of the story from SBJ earlier today.
I don't believe them.
Take it for what you may.
Yeah, I mean, my first thought in reading that story was, who wanted this out? You know, does Adam Silver and the NBA want it out that, like, hey, we up top, the top get it. And so if this doesn't go over well, we'll do what we got to do to make some changes. That was my impression of it. I don't know. It seems like even when she does, yeah, I agree with you. I didn't think it was a throat punch. I did not. But I also think it's one of those instances where, you know, I'll use a World Cup term, VAR makes everything look worse than what it actually is in real time with real speed. But I also think that being the commissioner of a sports league isn't always about doing exactly what that moment is entitled to. It's what the whole moment for the sport needs. And I think it needed some protect. I needed a optics from a fan standpoint that they were looking out for and acknowledging, you know, the treatment of Caitlin Clark. The fans needed that. Whether it was right or wrong, the fans needed it. And I think in order for them to continue to try to grow, it had to happen.
Again, we talked about this the day after the incident happened, Cofield. I didn't think it was an intentional thing, but when you never need to go down with a closed fist.
Right.
Never. Like, it's one thing if it was palm to throat, then maybe you could get away without suspending her. But what you just said is, like, that's important. And it's part of the thing that a lot of people that have been around the WNBA for a while, the old guard, don't quite understand. The optics mean more than anything right now. And you've been given this, again, I'm not going to argue if Clark is an elite player or not. That's not the argument here. She's extraordinarily popular. And the fact that, the first point you made is the most interesting one, though. Who wanted this out there? Did the NBA want this out there for what you said? Now that I heard what you said there, Justin, I think you're probably right. That, all right, when the NBA decides, all right, this is enough with Engelbert, we're bringing in another person next year. This is another reason why.
Yeah, most ridiculous thing in this story, and you sent this over, Jeff.
Yeah.
Silver did give Engelbert the vote of confidence.
Yes.
She's done.
Yeah, she's done.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, that's
yeah.
It gives him the all those things seem to align to me. You don't see a story like this unless there's an issue, and the people who are in charge of the person who's in charge want it out there. I think. I actually disagree. I think there is a reason to go down with a closed fist. I mean, sending out fingers in a falling situation is never a good idea. That's how you break fingers and dislocate fingers. But none of that matters, right? Like, you know, a commissioner's job is to grow the sport that they are overseeing and to do what's right for the audience growth, and that's what you have to do here.
Dare I say that the vote of confidence also comes right after the Republican request to look into this league and its safety around players like Caitlin Clark? Are they acquiescing to those wishes? Is Silver placating a bit?
Maybe. I mean, at that point, I wouldn't do the vote of confidence because then that doesn't help when you're responding to the GOP letter. If you even respond to it when you pick up the phone.
Justin, thank you for coming down. We'll see you, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Mountain West Conference Media Day is rolling along. As ESPN Reno joins in here officially at 4:44. Jeff Parles, Mateo, Cofield. We're going to talk to Dylan La Barbera and Marshawn Brown, a couple of the Wolfpack players here in just a couple of minutes. Want to remind you once again of our Lotus Summer of Fun contest. We're giving away an American-themed trip every week during the summer. It's our Summer of Fun brought to you by Bay Law Injury Attorneys, Terribles, and ESPN Las Vegas. We have a code word of the day. You send in the code word to 702-364-1100. You can qualify. We have a different word every day. Cabin is the word today, C-A-B-I-N, cabin. And we are giving away a luxurious cruise on the Mississippi River, or you can take the cash. 702-364-1100. Text it in right now. You can qualify. We'll have one more. Check that. 2 more days of qualifying. Cabin, and the word changes every day. Cabin is the word today. So a little while ago, I sat down with Dylan La Barbera, star defensive end for the Wolfpack, and also wide receiver Marshawn Brown, who are looking forward to a much better season, bigger season than they've had the last couple of years in Reno with the Wolfpack, and got into the festivities. This was a few hours ago, and they were doing a lot of different media work, and I asked them, hey, what has the day been like so far?
Definitely busy, walking around, talking to a lot of people, meeting a lot of new people. It's been fun.
All right, so I'm going to cut right to the chase with both of you guys. Why is this year, and you can start, Dylan, why are going to be the breakthrough year to get back to bowl eligibility and hit that new level?
Yeah, I think this year we're out to prove something. We got a chip on our shoulder. We haven't played like we wanted to the last couple of years, and I think we've just been working our ass off every day. We've brought new guys, we've kept new guys, trying to fix the little things. I think.
Is there any rival right now in the conference, especially with I call them the disloyal 5 who left, the other schools who left?
The way everybody's been talking about it, I feel like North Dakota's going to be a good one too. We haven't played yet, but I think that's going to be something coming up.
And why is that?
I just think we're both kind of just gritty football teams that get after it.
How much do you guys talk about the schedule? Because I find North Dakota State kind of interesting. There is not going to be a Mountain West season or Mountain West Conference season poll, but obviously here and in Reno, we can find ways of what they think about the conference. North Dakota State is a top 3 choice to walk in from FCS and win the conference. You guys are not. Take that personally?
100%. I think like I said, we got a big chip on our shoulder and we got something to prove. So, yeah, I think we take it personally.
For you, do you remember any matchups last year in the game on the other side of the ball? They've lost some players, but how much chirping was going on from the defensive backs with you guys at receiver?
I mean, yeah, there's, especially in that game, the rivalry game, everybody's kind of pretty hot. So, there's a lot of chirping going back and forth, with their DBs, their defensive core as well. So, trying to weather that, just, staying in the game as well. So it's good. It's a good rivalry.
You play mostly on right side or left side?
Both.
Okay. Do you remember in particular any matchups? Again, Will Thomas was on the left side. Austin Boyd was on the right. I don't know if you numbers and all that, but do you remember either one of them being a tougher matchup? Or maybe they were both easy. I don't know.
No, I remember playing both of them. Good players, and I think it was a good matchup.
What do you have to get better at this year?
A lot. I got to work my pass rush. I got to work on my first step. I got to work on play recognition. I got to work on helping everybody out. I got a lot to work on, a lot to improve. I know you've been asked a million times by people here, but I want the answer for the Reno audience on ESPN Reno and also the Vegas audience. This is a very transactional era in college football now, and when you put up big numbers, there's going to be interest out there. What was the interest like? Did you shut it down quickly? Did you look around a little bit in terms of transfer portal and moving out? I knew Reno was a place for me. I honestly didn't look around too much or nothing. I just feel like I fit in here in University of Nevada. I think the coaches fit me. I think the play style, the way they coach, the culture, the teammates. I mean, I have brothers here. And I couldn't leave it.
Dylan La Barbera is with us and Marshawn Brown. How about for you? I mean, you fit the profile of the big receiver, the high point guy. Did you have interest? Did you shut it down quickly? Like, why are you – and obviously you have a tie to the community, but why stay around?
I mean, the community, I feel like they pour a lot into it. I feel like we pour a lot into them as well. And, obviously the coaching staff, I just feel like they believe in me and they believe in abilities, and then I feel like there's been times where – I haven't been the player that I wanted to be, and they still believed in me, you know what I'm saying? So they just always been there, to just develop my confidence and, my skill set as well.
For you first, what is Jeff Choate like? What's he like to play for?
Man, he's a tough guy. He's going to tell you how it is and tell you what it is. He's not going to sugarcoat anything, and, he's going to give it to you the real way. And, I don't want it any other way,
How How about for you?
Marshawn put it perfect. Tough guy, gritty guy. Say it straight. Do your job. You like it. I couldn't play for anyone else. I love that guy.
Yeah. Schedule this year. Obviously, UNLV's at the very end of the year. You got UCLA kind of late, but you do have an opportunity here, not to jump way ahead on the schedule, but if you guys can compete in the conference, you get New Mexico and Hawaii late in the season at home. I mean, those are great opportunities, and especially the Hawaii game, because who knows what the weather is going to be like. So talk about the schedule a little bit first for Dylan and the opportunities here. Obviously, you guys have to get some things done to be in competition, but what do you think of the schedule, and how juiced are you for 2026?
Yeah, it seems like a good schedule, but I think we'll team play anybody, anywhere, anytime. I think we just take it one game at a time and just prepare one day at a time.
All right, I'm going to put you in a tough situation here. I'm kidding. When you come down here, do you like Vegas? Are there things you can say it? You can say you're not getting in trouble. I like Reno.
Yeah.
So I'm not, as a UNLV broadcast team member and longtime Las Vegas, I'm not supposed to say that, but I like Reno a lot, and I want to get to some of the things I like in Reno. But when you guys come down here, what do you like about Vegas? And by the way, you can also say I hate it. It sucks.
I'm not a city guy, so I feel like I'm a little out of my comfort zone over here. So yeah.
You have a guy in a visit, right? You're hosting a visit. What do you tell him about the strengths of Reno?
I mean,
the city itself, the area.
Oh, yeah. I mean, first of all, you got the community, that's willing to pour into you, and the program, and then you have Tahoe, Lake Tahoe. You could go up there pretty much anytime you want, and experience that, and then just the camaraderie of the team. They're always going to be there for you, and vice versa. So I just feel like it's a very welcoming town, and everybody cares about everybody.
What do you tell them?
Yeah, I just like the outside areas of it. There's a lot of wilderness. There's a lot of places you can just go drive for hours and see nobody, nothing. And I think that's cool to me. I think it's a cool area, cool place to be. And just, yeah, a lot of fishing, a lot of hunting, whatever you want.
Best restaurant for you or your favorite food in the city?
Honestly, I'll probably say Mr. Crab is pretty good. I like food boils, so I'll probably say that.
All right. You?
Chop 40 out in Verdi. Chop 40. It's like they got a tri-tip sandwich. I like. It's got like bacon and cheese on it and stuff.
All right, I'm in. Bacon and cheese on tri-tip. 15 minutes out. Will it be worth the next trip to Reno to get a little ride share and go get the sandwich? What do you think?
Sounds pretty good to me.
Now I'm looking it up. Yeah, there it is, Verdi. Right.
How does the picture look, Cofield?
It's not cheap. No, it looks like my kind of place. No, I just looked at the immediate the pricing on it. It says $20 to $30 a person, so we can afford that. Give me like 5 minutes. You carry this. I'm gonna look at the menu. That dude's gonna be a beast, and he is such a good retention. I mean, every program has guys. Depending on how the program's doing, every program has a minimum of 5 dudes who can move on to better places and make money. And some programs, in the case of San Jose State, has just had a mass exodus the last couple of years. They've had to replace a lot of guys. Dylan LaBarbera was a massive keep. And on the other side of the ball, listen, you're not going to hear the wide receiver and defensive end reveal who's going to be the starting quarterback, but they have to get solid, consistent quarterback play, or else this is it. I mean, I don't think Jeff Cho can survive another year unless they improve a lot at the quarterback position. And I'm sure he knows this, but I think it's been one of the biggest. While they haven't been loaded with talent, a quarterback can cover up a lot of marks and smears and problems on a roster. They just have not recruited the right quarterback.
So what's the number that makes the most sense? Top of 5 and 7? Go 4 and 8 and show that you're significantly better than the back-to-back three-win seasons that they've had under Choate?
I don't know.
I don't think that's.
I don't know what the wins
I don't
are.
know.
I know this. Last year, while they were in a lot of games and they played better defense at times, there were a lot of games where they faded badly. So like any momentum they started to build, they got blown out in some games. So I think they've got to. I mean, ideally they make a bowl game. Get the 6 wins. The conference is not what it's been. And I wanted to say it outright, so I'm not going to sit here and discuss odds with the kids, but as of 2 weeks ago, they were 30-1 to win the Mountain West Conference. North Dakota State's walking in at 3-1. That would infuriate me if I'm playing FBS football at Nevada and no one gives us a chance to win the Mountain West Conference. North Dakota can waltz in and they're one of the favorites. That's ridiculous. I'm not saying it's inaccurate, but by standards, that is ridiculous.
In theory, you're 100% right, though. It's just the way it should be. If a team's coming up from FCS to FBS, they should not be able to compete right away. But again, that's the uniqueness of this North Dakota State situation. And look, for the Wolfpack, it has been a miserable run for multiple years now. And again,
which is pretty outrageous because And listen, as a Las Vegan, we really shouldn't care how they're doing, and this should be celebrated that the script has been flipped big time. But they were a good program, and you could consistently count on them making a bowl game, which I think a lot of people look at and they're like, oh, who cares? It matters. Sure. It matters. Because that's at a minimum, that shows the program's got some tradition, some success. If you make a bowl game every year, that probably means once every 4 years at a minimum, you're going to win 8, 9, 10 games, and that's what that program could do. And last year they got killed on a couple of fronts. They lost 14-13 to Middle Tennessee State, where they kind of blew it. Fresno State was a 2017 loss. At New Mexico, they completely shocked New Mexico being in the game. They wound up losing to one of the best teams in the conference, 24-22. So that's 3 swing games right there.
Well, that turns you 6-6 if you somehow win them all. 5-7 looks a lot better than 3-9. Also, Cofield, we'll learn a lot early with this team because you got Western Kentucky coming to your building in week 1. And look, Western Kentucky is in a league that is definitely a step down from what even the new version of the Mountain West is for sure. But it is a team that is probably the best team in that conference going into this year. So it's a good little measuring stick game. Montana State is a great FCS, as we know. So that will not be an easy game in week 2. And then you go on the road to Middle Tennessee State, who's just not a good program at the moment. So we're going to learn a lot about what this Wolfpack team will be, and we'll probably be able to tell what this team is going to turn into after those first 3 games.
But so much of it is the quarterback play. They brought in a guy who's 6'6", 6'7", from UCLA in Luke Duncan. The younger quarterback on the roster showed a little bit of promise in Cooper Jones, but obviously it did not work out. As gritty, gutty, and tough as Chubba Purdy is, he's I don't even know what he's not a quarterback. He was most effective in dual threat role, but most of the threat was running. But those are the errors you make when you're recruiting, where that can sink a season. And for the last 2 years, they just have not had a quarterback. Look at the flip side. Right? We talked about flipping the script. Look at the flip side with UNLV.
Yeah.
They didn't have some of the quarterbacks work out. The backup came in. That's how good the room was, how much they nailed it, where they didn't totally nail it with the starter, like Sluka to Haj Malik. Sluka turned out to be kind of a whack job. Mm-hmm. And they made sure that they had a competition, and they had Haj Malik, who they bumped up from Campbell. That's the other thing that would really annoy me if I was a Wolfpack fan, is there are quarterbacks available.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't always have to be, come on, I mean, listen, he already had the connection, Eck. Jack Lane comes up to the Mountain West Conference and is, a top 4 quarterback in the league.
Yeah. I mean, even look at last year with UNLV. It was all about orgy early, and Calandria ends up being awesome and is now at Nebraska. Now, who knows? It could be reversed. Like Jackson Arnold may not end up being as good. Maybe we see a little bit of orgy. We don't know.
5 o'clock hour on the way. We're going to have a conversation with UNLV offensive lineman Austin Boyd. But before that, PFT's Myles Simmons.
Now back to Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, rolling on 5 o'clock hour. Jeff Parles is here. Cofield, here is the Palms as we're in week 2 of college football media days. Nothing real explosive today at the Mountain West Conference. I think the conference feels pretty good about what it's got going on. The Pac-12 split is kind of dead and buried. I think the Pac-12 folks would have a lot more to say that would have been inflammatory about the Mountain West, but the Pac-12 decided because of financial reasons not to have a football media day or days, which still doesn't make any sense to me. And Justin Watkins, who was in last hour, one of our regulars on Wednesdays, is an Oregon State guy, and I could tell he's disappointed. He said it back-to-back weeks. that these are the times that are really good for pub and chatter and stories to come out and deep stories. Like, who doesn't want to know about Micah Alijado's bowling, which I'll put out there eventually, right? That's exciting stuff. But it's all those features that really kind of make it interesting, and it starts getting the juices flowing. And I know today ACC started, so we're going to start getting a lot of ACC stuff. You got to have collective media availability at the beginning of the football season.
Oh, 100%. And look, this is a unique summer, right, Cofield, where we have a major event that only takes place once every 4 years, and it's happening in our country and on our continent, which normally doesn't happen. So there's going to be a big crash, I would say, from a lot of sports fans after Sunday, where it's like, oh, what do we do? Especially if you're not a baseball fan or your baseball team stinks.
I'll be honest, I got the crash about 2 weeks ago because I don't hate the World Cup, but I don't have as much interest as you do. So I've been waiting for anything football-wise. And I'm normally not like that. But this year, for some reason, I've really grown to love football, and I love college football. Anyone who listens to the show has heard me rant and rave. If I'm not the number one local sports talk show host in the country on football, I don't mean knowledge, on my love of NIL, the transfer portal, and the CFP, I don't think anyone rivals me. I freaking love it. I will rip your head off if you don't like it. I get crazy over this.
I'll just echo what
so
you
I've been
said,
dying for this to come back.
But it just it not only that, Cofield, it helps with preparation for the season too. And if it was financial reasons or whatever nonsense the new Pac-12 came up with, like, it just can't happen. You got to at least have your media days, and even if it's just to let Boise State puff their chest out for a little bit, let them do it. Like, this is the season where this is the part of the year where everyone believes that their team is going to go win a conference championship, go to the college football playoff, and have a stunning run through the playoff to get to a few miles down the road from us at the end of January.
James, give me a heads up when our buddy Myles is ready to go from Pro Football Talk. Parles, Cofield, down here at the Palms. I think Myles is with us. Myles, what's going on? Myles, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, guys. I'm doing well. I didn't realize that the Pac-12 wasn't having their media days. That's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? Why would you not do that?
Especially
with as many new teams as they've got going on in there. Shouldn't we be introducing ourselves to the world at a certain point?
It's a brand new conference.
Interesting.
They've got two existing teams, and it's a brand new conference. So yes,
right,
you have to do it. And the message here's the problem, and this is always a bad look. Again, we always use the word optics. These are really not optics. It's a bad look. The deputy commissioner came out and said, well, it's a pretty pricey endeavor, so we decided not to do it. 2 days later, the commissioner said, Teresa Gould, she's like, nah, nothing to do with the money. Okay, which is it?
I mean, look, as somebody who lives in Los Angeles, and I am now a grad student at USC. I think the death of the Pac-12 is objectively a bad thing. And I think that there are clearly some strategic errors that have been made along the way that the Pac-12 has done, right? So that they are at this point. But if you're going to be at this point and you're trying to rebuild and revamp and whatever yourself, I really don't understand why you can't go.
All right, here we go, coming down to 3, 2, and 1.
Conference room. What's going on? I don't. It just seems like another one of the strategic errors from this conference, and a long list of them, is even as it tries to reinvent itself.
It's a freaking mess. Okay, Myles, I have to pat you on the back. I don't think you were the only one, but I'm going to give you credit as the only one. You did about a 3-minute diatribe last week on EA, and what was it called again?
Really
the micro what?
The micro transactions.
No, it was probably 90 seconds. The micro transactions, and then I forgot who I saw. I saw someone. Wasn't it? I forget. It was a comedian. Was on another show talking about how that whole thing got knocked down. It only took 4 days, and then EA finally said, "Okay, we got to get the hell out of this because people are irate."
Yeah. Well, look, I'll give credit where it's due. To the first one I saw say something about this was this content creator Bordeaux. He makes videos on YouTube about college football, 25, 26, and now 27. And I think he does a nice job, seems like a nice guy or whatever, but he has been really all in on this and trying to be for the consumer and for players. And, it could put his standing as a good content creator with EA at risk. And, I just appreciate that he sounded the alarm bells about this and then has continued to sound the alarm bells, even as EA has taken out the microtransactions for certain parts of the game. They're still not putting in the slider so that you can make your player or your coach as good as you want them to be in an offline mode, because I don't know, that's kind of the way that the game has been designed. The way I read through the lines is they've made some changes in this version of the game in College Football 27 that they can't really reverse. So maybe they'll go back and do it again next year, but also probably they won't, because they want to be able to have microtransactions and, you know, charge people more money. Even though I think, like I said last week, if you're paying $70 for a game, that should be it. Why do you need more of my money? Stop. Just stop.
Yeah, the great thing last week, and you're right, it might not have been 3 minutes on your rant, but I'll let you behind the curtain and other people behind the curtain. Willie was looking at me the entire time that you were doing that rant, and he didn't know what the hell was going on. Yeah, because we're both and I'm not trying to rip him for his age, because we're the same age. We're both like, I don't know what's happening right now, but he is really pissed off, and we got to get out of his way because he's mad. And then Jeff, you came in, you had a reaction, right, Jeff? Because you like.
Well, I saw it, and I was like, oh, EA caved a little bit.
Yeah.
By the way, Myles,
didn't you? I thought you said you weren't going to buy the game.
I was.
You only bought it after they got rid of it, right?
I bought it last night.
There you go. Good for you.
The
first title update is apparently coming tomorrow. That's what I've seen, and so there's some
perfect,
to make
very
things
good,
better. Yeah.
The only weird glitch I've seen so far in my end, Myles, is I threw a touchdown pass and the guy went through the front of the crowd after catching it. That was the only weird glitch I've gotten so far.
The other weird one to me has been like if you call timeout, then the color of your opponent shows up, or if like the other team calls timeout, then your color shows up on. It's like a weird glitch. I don't know what that's about.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some recruiting issues that are in there too. But you know what? I spent over 600 hours playing the College Football 26 version, which I discovered before the new College Football 27. Yeah, so that's why, you know, I get a little passionate about stuff, man. You know, I can't help it, especially things I happen to spend a lot of time on.
Okay, some headlines on Pro Football Talk with Myles Simmons. First of all, federal court rejects yet another attempt by the NFL to send Brian Flores' case to arbitration. What are we doing? Can we just move along in this thing? And for the NFL, take your loss.
I mean, they should take the L. They don't want to go to discovery, and I can understand that from the NFL's perspective. So they are going to try to use every single avenue they possibly can in order to force this into the closed door, you know, kind of proverbial kangaroo court. That's at least the way Florio, who I obviously work with, likes to put it. But if you look, there is an article about this, as you mentioned, on ProFootballTalk.com, and some of the things that the judge said in there is that, like, hey, you guys keep trying to delay this process, but there's no real argument for you to be doing that. And I'm paraphrasing there, but like that's kind of where we're at in this. The NFL is just stalling. And I don't know if there is a lump sum of money large enough for somebody like a Brian Flores to say, okay, this is fine, I'll settle, and we don't have to continue this. When look, Flores has made plenty of money, is still making plenty of money as the Vikings defensive coordinator. So, and there are, of course, other folks in that suit as well. So I think that he wants to see this through. I think that there's a good reason to want to see this through. And we'll see if this finally does go to trial. I think it will later than sooner, because the NFL is still going to try to make arguments that, hey, this should be an arbitration, which it obviously at this point should not be.
PFT headline number 2. Shedeur Sanders can win the Browns job, if he puts in all the work. Well, that's going to infuriate the Sanders family. What are we alleging here?
I don't know. I didn't write that. I think
that's a great
headline.
It's a great headline.
It's a Florio article, and I'm going to throw him under the bus there. I mean, like, no duh. Like that thing, right? Like, come on. This is a little bit ridiculous to me. I think that, look, Deshaun Watson is Deshaun Watson. We haven't seen Deshaun Watson play well in the National Football League since 2020, right? That's when he led the National Football League in passing. So I don't think that, when you're talking about a football generation and a half later in the year of our Lord 2026, that guy's not going to do bleep for you. If it happens, I'll eat my hat. Fine. Shedeur Sanders, I think, is the guy that the Browns would probably prefer to win the quarterback competition because there's so much more upside there. So, yeah, I mean, if for any young quarterback, you got to put in the work in order to show that you can do what you need to do. Shedeur Sanders, I think, came in a little bit further behind last year than a guy like Dylan Gabriel, and probably just processing the playbook, processing the plays, understanding how it is that you should do things on a down-to-down or play-to-play basis. But, like, that doesn't mean that he's going to be behind this year. That doesn't mean that he's not going to be in a position. Todd Monken has said that, you know, he's got two guys who he thinks are playing starting caliber football for the Cleveland Browns. I don't think it really matters which one ends up being the starting quarterback, because that's a 5-12 football team to me right now, no matter who's playing at QB. I guess if Shedeur Sanders is playing, you might get one more win out of it, because the vibe around that team, if Deshaun Watson is the starting quarterback in week 1, is going to be rancid from the fan base. And I don't know how you correct that.
Well, couldn't that also be part of the plan, though? Where this is everyone, Myles, where this is, hey, get the first overall pick. We have all this draft capital behind it now with that Myles Garrett trade. I know that Deshaun Watson, probably still is the best quarterback in that QB room, but couldn't that be part of the plan? Hey, we're going to be terrible anyway. Let's just kind of get everyone to check out right away on this.
God.
I know it's a horrible way to look at it, but
I put it this way, man. That's not Todd Monken's plan.
Sure,
Todd Monken is a veteran football coach who's getting his first opportunity to be a head coach at the National Football League level. I mean, that's not something he just wants to squander. He wants to go out there and have this team play winning football, and they have to fix the offense in order to do that. And there are good skill players that the Browns have, right? I mean, Quinshon Judkins, I think, flashed a bit last year as a rookie. Harold Fannin, their tight end, flashed a bit. They drafted 2 receivers, Concepcion and Boston. I mean, those are guys that, you know, at least have upside. I don't necessarily know how the offensive line is going to be. They are totally revamped up front, but, you know, there's something there where it's like, yeah, okay, if the offense can be a little bit competent, maybe you win some games, but a defense that revolved around Myles Garrett that now no longer has Myles Garrett, and I say this with all due respect to Jared Verse, who I think is a very good young player, that's not going to be as good of a unit as it was. So if you take that guy away and then you're saying, all right, well, we don't know what the hell the offense is going to be because we don't know how good the quarterbacks are. I mean, I don't see a world where they're any good, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to try. And so I think that that's kind of the difference, right? Todd Monken's still going to try to put together the best plan he can every single week in order to try and go play winning football. And you don't want anybody checked out, especially under a first-year head coach.
George Pickens will be on what team for week 1 of the 2027 season, Myles?
Oh, gosh, I have no idea, because I don't necessarily think it's going to be the Cowboys. I don't think that he'll get franchised twice. I think this is an interesting approach that they're taking. The Cowboys, I mean, in that, yeah, we have CeeDee Lamb. We've got Dak Prescott, who I think we can say is on the back 9 of his career. And I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. He's been in the league since 2016. He's had a substantial number of injuries. A lot of them have been pretty serious, right? So, you know, how many great years do we have left of Dak Prescott? I don't know. But you already have CeeDee Lamb on a big deal. You franchise George Pickens and say, yeah, we're just not even going to try to do the long-term deal with him. I don't know what that means for them offensively, right? I mean, George Pickens as a motivated individual is probably better than, you know, a really, really, really good number of wide receivers in the National Football League. So I think that he's poised to have a really good season in 26. As for what that means for 27, your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea.
Myles Simmons with us, Pro Football Talk. It's Cofield and Company live at the Palms today on ESPN Las Vegas. I'm going to have you be the voice of reason here, because maybe he's right. But I do not like older coaches, older players ripping the NFL now in terms of where the sport is. And I don't for 1 second believe the quarterbacking is getting worse. And yet I hear this narrative all over the place. John Gruden said quarterback play is dissolving, not evolving.
Well, John Gruden feels that way in part because of the way that they come out of college, I think. And, you know, he said this multiple times where he's talking about quarterback cadences. And in college, a lot of the time they just do the clap thing, right? And it's that what he's saying is that's not a part of quarterbacking. And to an extent, I agree with him. It's a little simplistic. However, I think the way defenses are evolving now, if you can process things, like if you can process what's going on against a Mike McDonald defense, right, and show up and play well against that, then yeah, you're still doing a lot. Matthew Stafford, I guess, is the counterpoint to that, which is like, yeah, he's one of the only ones that can do it, and he's been in the league since 2009. So, and I guess we saw how they dismantled Drake May in the postseason, in the Super Bowl, I should say. So, I mean, I get what Gruden's point is, but at the same time, there's more training for quarterbacks now than there ever has been. And I think we've talked about this recently, right? Where you get guys who come in and they've been going to camps, they've been going to the Manning Academy, they've been, playing 7-on-7 for years and years and years, and they have all this training and they have media training so that when they get to the National Football League, there's a lot that they've been able to do so that they can then play the position at a high level. But it doesn't always go well. And I think we've seen that recently with a guy like McCarthy, right, with the Vikings. First of all, he can't stay healthy. Second of all, when he's on the field, he doesn't look very good. Jaden Daniels came in, he set the world on fire in 24, and then in 25, it looks like defenses are catching up to him. And so he's got to do a little bit more this offseason, and also he's got to stay healthy so that he can take that next step in his career. It's really interesting because so much about, I think, quarterbacking is where you end up and who is your head coach and what offensive system are you running and how comfortable are you with the individuals that are in your meeting room and how comfortable are you with the skill players, how comfortable are you with the offensive line and what's your chemistry and all that. So, I mean, like, I don't think Gruden is completely wrong, but I think that there is evolution that he might not like, but that doesn't mean that the game is not being pushed forward in a way.
That's on Pro Football Talk. John Gruden says quarterback play is, quote, dissolving, not evolving. That was a good nuanced answer, and you're right. I didn't read the whole story, and part of the story is him commenting on the schooling before they get to the NFL about going to 4 and 5 colleges. Also, though, in there, and I don't want to ruin it so people go read the story, but he also said, I would love to get into a locker room and start putting some game plans together again. Well, right now no one wants him, and there's a reason. He's got a legacy, and I don't know how he's going to get around that. By the way, you could have put together, I wouldn't have taken the job, but he could have put together game plans for the Jets.
Well,
you don't get to go to exactly where you want, Myles. Sorry.
That's true. Well, that's true. Well, and if you're John Gruden, it's kind of the thing, like, F you money, right? John Gruden's made enough money in his life where he can say, F you, I don't want that job.
He can, you're right.
I want the job I want. So, that's I guess, a luxury of being on television for as long as he was and also being, a head coach as long as he was.
I think the Jalen Hurts discussion is pretty fascinating. I know people get tired of that whole, kind of the red meat quarterback discussions, but I think it's a legit discussion now. Has he slipped into the second half of quarterbacks in the National Football League, and what does that mean for his future with the Eagles?
Well, there have been arguments, and I work with Chris Sims, obviously, at NBC, and Sims has said for a long time that Hurts might not be the elite quarterback all the time, right? I think that when we've seen him in the biggest games, the Super Bowl in the 23 season, I think that the 22 season, sorry, that he, in Arizona, like that, he was sterling that game, except for when he loses the fumble and Nick Bolton returns it. Right, like that, he was great. He was also great in the Super Bowl, at the end of 24 in New Orleans, where they kicked the crap out of the Chiefs. But last year, I think there were a lot of offensive issues that Philadelphia had, where some of the time Hurts was the issue, some of the time Kevin Patullo was the issue, and some of the time, defenses were giving them issues. I remember, because I was at the Chargers Eagles Monday night game or Sunday night game, whatever day it was of the week, that was out here at SoFi Stadium in LA. And, looking at it from the press box, you could see sometimes Hurts was not reading the field well. Sometimes he just didn't have anybody open. And so when you have that kind of combination going on, it turns into disaster. And it turns into what we saw, where it's 4th down and they run 4 hitches and like the San Francisco defense understands exactly what's going to happen, and they knock it down and fourth down in a playoff game, and the Eagles lose. So I think what's going to be interesting is how does Sean Mannion come in and implement a different offense, right? Because they need some new ideas. And what this offense is going to look like, I don't really know. But Mannion is of the Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur school in that West Coast kind of offense. So I think we can expect that some of those principles are going to be implemented. But I also think that when you have a guy in Nick Sirianni who's been an offensive coordinator before and should have an offense, he should be pretty heavily involved in what this thing is going to look like, especially from the quarterback coach perspective. And so I don't know how it's going to go. I'm very intrigued to see what the Eagles and Hurts look like in 26.
Myles, that was awesome. Follow Myles up on Twitter at Myles A. Simmons. Make sure you read Pro Football Talk. And, of course, all the NFL stuff is rolling out here on Peacock for months and months and months. So we're looking forward to that. Myles, thank you.
All right. Take care, guys.
See ya. More on UNLV football. Another one of the honorees in the preseason teams is Austin Boyd. We'll talk about the new center. Yeah, he's a veteran, but new center for the Rebels.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
We're wrapping up day one, Mountain West Conference football media days. Rebels have, the standing in the conference has changed. Now some schools left the conference, but 30 wins in the last 3 years, and that means that players are getting better and better, and there's more preseason honors for the Rebels than ever before. And Austin Boyd's one of the guys who's been recognized by the conference and other sources as expected to have an outstanding year. Now, the offensive line for the Rebels is going to have a new look. They're going to have some new players who are on the starting unit, but Austin Boyd's a guy who's been starting forever, and he will play, in this case, his third different position. He's going to play center, and that's how we started off this part of the conversation, catching up with Austin, the senior for the Rebels, a little earlier in the day, about the switch to center, but also just talking about his dedication to the program and why he stayed around long.
No, it's been awesome. I love the Las Vegas community. Being here, it's kind of abnormal for players to stay at one place for, the amount of time I've been here. So I've really adopted, the Las Vegas community, the culture, the fans. And it's been awesome. I've been able to have my family come out to almost every single game, and they've kind of seen that as well. Seeing the whole culture and the fan base of being a part of this Las Vegas community.
So you mentioned, it's unique for guys to stay around. That year between Odom and then Mullen, and there wasn't a long period of time, but was that the most challenging year for you, a challenging situation where you were like, man, I don't know if I want to stay? Because you're starting over all the time with a new coach and a new O-line coach. Was that the most challenging time? Or maybe this last year, I don't know how many people called you. You might have had the most offers you had your entire career to get out.
I'll just say, Coach Mullen did a great job at selling the program. He did a great job of keeping players, and he sold me on his vision of his past success and what he sees for the program, and that's why I stayed. I think I love what we did last year, and we're going to build upon that, and we're going to win the Mountain West, and we're going to, continue on our success. So I think, Coach Mullen did a great job at selling what he does.
How involved is he on a practice basis? Because I'm nothing against Parles. He's a defensive guy. Yeah. He had Vance Vices, as this guy in the offensive line. How much more is Mullen involved? Or maybe he's not involved. Maybe he just delegates and you never talk to him. I don't know.
Yeah, no, he's very involved. Like, we'll be in team periods, and the first group will get done. We'll come off the field, and if Coach Adazio's coaching up someone else, he'll pull me aside and tell me things I did good or did bad. And he's always going between different position groups and coaching them up. He's super involved in special teams as well. He's always doing something. He's always coaching someone up, and especially with the O-line, because he has wide knowledge on how our offense works, how in general. So just picking his brain sometimes, like he's one of the smartest coaches I've been around.
I think every year you guys have an intensity getting ready for the beginning of the season. You put in so much work. But have you concentrated even more on the beginning of the season in terms of, because this is easily, in your time here, the hardest. Week to week, there is no easy spot. There's no break, and you come out of the gates like right into a Memphis game that could be, really risky.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. I think, we're trying to get into that mentality where if we could get better week by week and we're focused on, our opponent, or right now we're focused on our off-season training 1 week at a time. If we can get that 1% better every day, then we don't have to think 10 weeks down the line if we're playing. So right now, we're focused on our training, and we're focused on week 1 against Memphis.
You're going to miss some of the schools going on the road to play some of these rivals that I've been calling them the disloyal five. They left, they're out. So we don't want to talk about them, but is there a spot or two where you're kind of going there? That was super intense.
Yeah, there's a couple. I mean, it's been fun kind of playing all over the Mountain West, but I'm also excited for the new teams. I'm excited to play in North Dakota State, NIU, all the new teams that came to our conference. So I think it's kind of a double-edged sword, saying all the teams that we had, some good games with in the past and that we've traveled to, they've come to us. But now it's, a new chapter for the Mountain West Conference where we get to, experience some different opponents.
Most unique spot on the road? What do you think it is?
That's a tough question.
Because I have mine, because I remember a couple of years ago, there was a back and forth because fans had such closeness to you guys that Chop was ready to beat down some dude, and that's Hawaii. It's a weird place because it's so small, and yet for a while they were letting the fans on the track. You're turning around. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of them. And I say Air Force is up there too, playing at the elevation. But probably Hawaii. You got to take a little longer of a plane flight, a bit of a time change, and it's just a little bit different of an environment. They got a great fan base out there, so it's going to be intense, like you kind of talking about. But probably those two, yeah.
Last couple questions. I mentioned your family earlier. Can you talk about your family to the Vegas audience? And because I mentioned to you many times that I see them around all the time. I see them up on social media making comments. It's a big deal.
Yeah. So I come from a big family. I'm originally from Lehi, Utah. I'm the second oldest of 6 kids. So I got an older sister, 3 younger brothers, and a younger sister. And then, I think my dad's come to every game of my college career, which has been awesome. It's been such a blessing to be able to see him and my family pretty much every single game. And then I got my grandparents that are down the road in southern Utah, and they come up for every home game. So they've been such a big support for me, just going all throughout college, being able to see them as much as I had.
We got more big fella Boyds in the pipeline, or what are your siblings? What are they? Are they athletes?
Yeah. So my brother's playing in high school ball right now. I think he's gonna be playing center. I got a younger sister. She plays every sport: softball, soccer.
She's the best athlete. She might be the best.
I think she is the best athlete in the family. So we'll see what she does. And then I got my youngest brother. He's playing football and he's doing pretty well too. So I think he's in 3rd grade. He'll do good. So we got a couple more boys coming up in the pipeline. Yeah.
How do you know as a young kid that you have it as an O-lineman? Because it's one thing to be big, but you got to be kind of mean, and I don't think everyone has it in them to be mean and kind of vicious. And I don't know if you know when they're like 10 or 11.
That's a good question. I think it's I remember because I've been playing offensive line ever since 1st grade or kindergarten. I think it's definitely having that little bit of a nasty attitude, but having the love for the position. Not a lot of guys like playing offense line. It's a gritty position. We don't get hardly any recognition, and then when something goes wrong, we're the first to be blamed. So I think it's just having the love for your position and then stick with it. So I think that's something when I was a kid, I like playing offense line. I like pushing people around, putting them on the ground, and I've stuck with it. And then I think obviously I've developed up to this point to where I'm at today.
Austin Boyd's with us. Tell me about Jackson Arnold's mentality.
Yeah, no, he's come in and he's done really well, trying to adopt our offense real fast, which he's done, and he's really cohesive in the locker room. So I love hanging out with him. He's a great guy. And he's, whoever plays that quarterback for us is going to be, I trust 100%, and they're going to do a great job back there.
Seems like both guys are mature beyond their, listed age.
Definitely. I think, especially Alex and Jackson, they're both, some of our best leaders on their team. They bring a lot of experience. They've been at, different places, and they bring their experiences from their schools over here. And they definitely are, very mature and, great leaders for our team.
You guys have a couple tight ends that you like that, seem like, pretty good blocking tight ends, but also some weapons in terms of receiving?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we back Jay Beasley, Matt Burns, Jefferson Beltre, and they did great for us last year. And then we brought in Keaton Burnett, and he's going to, all of them are going to do really good for us. So I think especially last year with the amount of tight ends we played, we're going to have a great mix, and we're going to do great things for us.
For you guys on the O-line, what's the bonding spot? Like, where do you guys go locally to hang out? It doesn't have to be about food, but I assume a lot of it's around food and restaurants. Big fellas.
No, you're not wrong. I mean, just the other day, we're at Olive Garden. We like to try different spots. You know, we like to hang out, order pizza when there's UFC fights going on. So, I mean, that's one thing. I think we're really close as an O-line this year. We get together as much as possible. We do, like with Coach Adazio too. He gets us together as much as possible. But yeah, whether it's just going out to grab a bite or just hanging in the house. But yeah,
I hope Olive Garden didn't have the bottomless pasta, because you guys walk in, 12 guys walk in, 270 to 350.
Unfortunately, we didn't, but we did get the bottomless breadsticks, so we put down a lot of breadsticks that day.
And you mentioned UFC. Are you a fan of UFC? Did you watch this last card?
Yeah, so we got a lot of the guys together to watch the last card.
What'd you think?
Oh, it's unfortunate for the title for the main card that how it ended with McGregor. But other than that, I thought it was a really good card.
Yeah, I've covered UFC for a long time, and fans are crazy. Media people are crazy too.
Yeah.
As a competitor, can you kind of get in a fighter's head? I mean, you guys are out there and you're doing hand-to-hand. It's funny, actually. There is some training with UFC and MMA that you guys can do, and I don't know if you've done it before. I know Forrest Griffin's been out to the practice facility, but I just wonder, as an athlete, getting in that mentality of, hey, there are moments on the line. I'm sure you're like, man, I'm tired. I want to quit. I'm getting my ass kicked. Can you kind of connect with fighters? I mean, that's the ultimate. In that case, the guy's hurt. I don't know how hurt he was, and people are like, he should have fought through it. Like, I don't know. If my knee is torn, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah. No, 100%, especially on the O-line. You know, like I said, we're in a gritty position, and we play through a lot of injuries, you know, whether that be just like a broken finger or, you know, something with a knee or an ankle. But, you know, I think kind of like with, you know, McGregor, he was told to stop. He was forced to stop. He wanted to keep going, and I think we try to adopt that mentality. Like, I know that's how I play. Like, no one's going to, you know, I'm not going to pull myself out, have to pull me out, you know. So I'm going to keep going until I can't.
Who's the most dangerous guy on the offensive line who would be a fighter? Who's got the edge, maybe has the athleticism? You got to be mean.
Well, I'll tell you who thinks he's the most dangerous. Will Thomas.
I was going to say.
He, you know, shout out to Will Thomas, man. I love that guy, man. No, he's done great for us, but he has that, you know, he has the edge about him. He's always, you know, shadow boxing someone, throwing kicks. You know, he's a huge UFC fan.
There he is, Austin Boyd, talking about the meanies, the big guys on the Rebel offensive line. Will Thomas is a guy who has an edge, plays with an edge. Jeff Parles, Cofield, day one here at the Palms. Day two is tomorrow. We're going to talk to a bunch of the coaches, including Dan Mullen, during Cofield and company. We got to close on something we didn't even mention today. Hardly got to it, and that was, you know, the world's biggest sporting event. I know you love it. What happened with England and Argentina?
Oh, man. England choked. That's the best way for me to put it. Went into a shell too early. 1-0 lead into the 85th. Argentina finds one in the 85th, and then they find one in stoppage time to win in regulation 2-1. So Argentina does it again. They're in the final against Spain, which, what a matchup. That will be on Sunday, Cofield.
Who are you picking?
I'm going to save that for Friday.
Okay.
I'm going to save that for Friday because I don't know right now.
Yeah. Friday we'll be at TI. Tomorrow we're here at the Palms for Mountain West Conference Media Day number 2. Remember, tomorrow we'll be out here with all the coaches, so we'll get a chance to catch up with Jason Eck. Also, talk some Hawaii football with Timmy Chang. Thanks to everyone from especially UNLV who came on with us today. Mark Wallington did a good job of setting us up with Austin Boyd and Jet Thomas. We have conversations that we'll put up on the web with Mumu bin Wahad. Other good stuff as well. We talked to hometown hero Micah Alihado. So look on socials for that. Look on socials for the review of the show. Thanks to James. Thanks to Mateo. We'll see you.